batteries so we can now find the saucer.
Okay, we have some socks in the house. We do.
Yep, we does.
Backpack, 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 backpack. On the backpack loaded up with games and knickknacks too. Hey, mermaid. Hi, mermaid. Can you pick up some shoes to wear? Backpack. High five. Yay. Okay, what do you need? You need a hairbrush. Hairbrush? Mermaid, looking at your sister, our baby. Good baby? Nice baby. Baby Tessie, yeah. Yep. There she is. Huh. Hey, could I finish washing your hair? What? What do you want? Yeah, of course. Upstairs, and I'm not running upstairs right now because we are on a time crunch. So this morning is Maggie's IEP, which is fun. For those of you who don't know, an IEP is an individual education plan, and that's like kids that have special needs or like a disability or some other special need, not necessarily a disability. An IEP for a kid who has some sort of a need for a different education plan that like the usual thing in the classroom isn't going to work. Patrick has an IEP for speech because he has a speech delay. Sadie has an IEP for a speech delay. Those are really pretty simple. We go in, they were like, they need speech. I'm like, okay, sign the papers, and that's all. It's easy.
Yeah, it is.
Maggie's is a little bit more complicated because Maggie is more complicated. Maggie scored a 10 out of 10 on her ADOS. We have to worry about Maggie like running away. We have to worry about like keeping her safe. So yeah, but she's in a special autism self-contained classroom with a really good teacher where the ratio, I'm sorry, I know, I'm really sorry, where the ratio of students to like adults in the classroom is pretty close to 1-to-1. It's slightly, I know, I'm really sorry, it's slightly less to 1-to-1 theoretically, but because there's like always like social workers, and it's like, I think there's 3 pairs and a teacher, so technically 4 adults to 6 kids. However, there's also like social workers, speech, OTs that are like in the class pretty much almost every day. And so like, I'm really into green right now. I just love the screen that came with this. It's just so bright. And I think I'm gonna go with a nude lip because my eyes are so bright.
Mama!
Yeah, buddy?
Mama! What are we doing in the bathtub?
Huh?
What are we doing in the bathtub?
Bathroom?
Bathtub. This car's
There's no bathtub in here.
Yes, there are. We are in the bath.
Dude, we are done now.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, now, IEP. I'm not expecting it to be bad. We should be okay. Ready for school, Tessie? We have dropped Tessie off and we have got, like, we're supposed to be at Maggie's IEP in 8 minutes. However, they know we might be late. I told them that I had to drop Tessie off before I could get there, and that happened at 9, and so 9:15 for an IEP. Cutting it close. It's a what?
Car.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, today was Maggie's IEP, and I started talking about it earlier in a video that I deleted, and the reason that I deleted it was because it was on my phone and I completely ran out of memory on my phone when I was making the video, and I decided that I would rather make that video on my camera and actually sit down in a quiet place and talk. That's what this is, I hope, as long as the little boys don't come storming into the room. They're like entertained in a safe spot outside that door. So we'll see if this actually works. I should start off by saying that, like, I know that parents usually, a lot of the time, from being in various special needs groups, autism groups, and just general groups, I know that IEPs can be really, really stressful for parents. And I was like a little bit stressed about Maggie's IEP just because, more because I know that they are a stressful thing than because I was actually worried how it would go. I had basically one thing that I really knew that I wanted in her IEP, and that was that when she's on the bus, she has to be in a 5-point harness or a star seat. And that was pretty much the main thing that I wanted in her IEP. And everything else I had a pretty good idea was going to be in her IEP without me having to make a big deal about it, basically. We drove into town. Her bus was on time this morning, which was awesome. And we got her on the bus. The other day it was 35 minutes late, and that was stressful. And she was a little bit nervous this morning about going on the bus. I wish I could put that in her IEP, like, you guys can't be 30 minutes late, because that throws off her whole entire day. But that is not something that I can really do because I don't know. But that is probably the most stressful thing that throws off her days right now, because she can tell time, she knows when they're late, and she gets really stressed out when they're late. So the bus was on time today. She got on the bus. I got Tessie off to school. We made it over. James was with me because Paul was in court, and because James would just be with me anyway. Is not something I would like pull Paul out of work for. I can have James with me in an IEP meeting. And so they had like a little seat set up for James with like a puzzle and drawing stuff and toys, which was really, really nice. And James was super excited to be there as a result. And we went in, and it was five of the people that work with Maggie: OT, speech, someone from the district, autism social worker type person, and then her teacher. I think that's everybody. Yeah. And so basically everybody went, or the way it works was that they had the draft of the IEP there, individual education plan, for those of you who don't know. And it is basically like Maggie's plan for the school year and for next year and for how it's supposed to go. And everyone went around and gave like a little mini presentation kind of thing on how this year had gone and how Maggie was doing and what they had planned for next year, in a general sort of way, like what they were hoping to accomplish, again, in a very general sort of way. And a lot of them had like little graphs that showed Maggie's progress, like this is where Maggie was at the beginning of the year, and it would have like a little line down here, and this is what she can do now. And her reading scores had been like way down here at the beginning of the year, and we're like at the very top of the chart now. And then math had started way at the bottom and was like halfway. With speech, for like speech, there were like levels
I can't remember how many levels of communication, but Maggie's like to the fifth level of communication with everything above it totally blocked in, as almost totally blocked in as mastered, which everyone was really, really excited about. Working more on her verbal communication, getting her to talk more, because she has a huge amount of words. It's just getting her to actually use those words to communicate effectively. She does communicate very creatively. Her OT talked about how when Maggie is motivated to be interested in something, she can be very, very, very focused, and like focused over like sensory stimulation, focused over basically all outside stimulation when she actually like is interested. It's that schoolwork is non-preferred for her most of the time. So it's finding like ways to motivate her to do actual schoolwork and be interested in her schoolwork. Yeah, I talked about some of her goals for like sight words and reading next year, that she's going to be going to a summer school program that is 4 hours a day, 4 days a week this summer, which is going to be really exciting for her because she would be super disappointed if there was not school this summer. And she is going to have basically a huge break in the afternoons. In the morning she'll have school, she'll have a huge break in the afternoons, which is way less school than she usually has, and then she'll have therapy 5 days a week, 3 hours in the evenings, which again is way less than she's had in the past during the summer. So it is going to be like a summer for her, but it'll still be structured enough that she shouldn't be upset about it. I hope we'll probably still have a bumpy couple of weeks, and there is like a couple week break between the end of school and the start of the summer school. And actually I need to go upstairs after this and fill out those forms because they're due in 5 days. Basically it had said in her IEP already that she needed to be in a restrained seat, and I had them change it to a 5-point harness because of the incident where they had her in a locked seatbelt and she got that off. So I wanted to make sure that it was in her IEP that said 5-point harness because Maggie. And they added that there has to be a person before they get her out of her harness for her to be released to before they get her out of her harness, because she's definitely still a flight risk and an eloping risk. And that was pretty much it. And oh, I know, the coolest part was they talked about how they have like peer-to-peer groups and older kids who come in the classroom who are like 3 grades above her to work with the kids, and like not work with the kids but like do social stuff with the kids and hang out with the kids, and how it's 5 boys in her classroom and she is the only girl, and so the girls that come in the classroom like all obviously come in and like gravitate to Maggie, and how those girls can get her to do stuff that they cannot get her to do, and how like on last Friday when they came in, they all came in and ran over to Maggie and got her to do a puzzle that the teachers hadn't been able to get her to do, and that it's just really exciting and really cool. Earlier in the year, I think when I was still driving her to school, it was really, really cool because I was walking her into school one day and we were holding hands, and there was a boy who was, I'm guessing a 4th grader because that's the grade that does peer-to-peer stuff, who was walking back the other way, and he was like, "Hey Maggie," and gave her a high five as he was walking by, and she gave him a high five, and the other boys were like, "Who is that?" And it was just really, really cute. So I think it's really cool that they have that at their school. It gives her even more of an opportunity because she's had a really hard time being. There is a general ed classroom that she's technically part of, but she has had a hard time being in that classroom, and so they're going to work on that even more next year, also trying to integrate her more and more with her general ed classroom as much as possible, since that has been difficult this year and she's mostly only with that class during art. They're also considering giving her 2 art classes next year because she enjoys art so much, and because during art she is able to be like in the normal class and does really, really well during art. So that was the IEP portion of our day that I couldn't really bring the camera into and film, but I thought I would tell you guys about it. and kind of give you an overview. For those of you who either have IEPs coming up, have younger kids, or were wondering what they were like, that is what an IEP with a kiddo like Maggie can be like. I know they're all probably different. Maggie's IEPs are definitely different than the IEPs that I go to for Sadie and Patrick, who just have IEPs for speech and nothing else.